Hello guys, welcome to Nigerian Food Channel. It's your boy Phrankleen. Right, if you've landed on this channel for the first time, hit the subscribe button. If you like what I'm about, hit the like button. On today's episode, I'll be talking about moving abroad from Nigeria and the untold truth. Okay, as you probably know, across the globe, there are multi, if not millions, of Nigerians that live abroad in the EU, UK, across the European countries, across in the US and stuff like that. And even you have the likes of Dubai, Qatar, blah, 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 and the list goes on. So, but there is something that we need to give consideration to, which is there are so many people in Nigeria that are also planning. In fact, as we speak, as you watch this, somebody's planning, trying to get visa, trying to leave the country. Most of this is down to the economic downturn, the poor management of the country by the leaders, the corruption, and the list goes on. Lack of jobs, lack of opportunities for so many, and people travel for so many reasons, which is to try to better their lives or to try to improve their educational background, to pretty much just get a better quality of life, which isn't exactly a bad idea. Okay, so I've got some points noted on here, and we'll be going through these things. I feel there is a long list of things that people who are intending to go live abroad that are not being discussed. Sometimes some people might even be privileged to have maybe a friend or relatives who currently live abroad. What I've found from my personal observation is most people, they tell lies. They don't exactly tell you the truth. You might even have a friend or family that live abroad. When they come on holiday, they blow things out of proportion. They don't exactly tell you what kind of jobs they do. They give you that impression like they pretty much pick money on the streets of abroad, or they run a very high position in a company, and it might just be they have a basic job to survive and stuff like that. So let's go. The first point is, why do you want to move abroad? Okay, so I've got on my notepad here. You can move because of career, you can move because of kids. That's, because of your wanting a better life for your family, wanting a better future, wanting, better quality education. So if we talk about wanting to move, that also ties into what type of visa would get you out of the country. So the commonly issued type of visas that people go for, you have the student visa, you have the work visa, you have the visitor's visa, the tourist visa, right? Usually, the student visa, as it says on the tin, means you're probably going to study for an undergraduate program or a master's program. So in that case, for those type of visas, you probably have a sponsor, might be your father, your mother, or a relative of some sort. Or some people might be even from a workplace, you're going to do, a master's degree program and get a better quality of education. But in saying that, the premise of this video, like I said, is to let you know and sort of prepare your mind for what the so-called abroad life is exactly like. Because as I said, so many people, there's so many misconceptions, so many lies, so many things that are untold. And what you find is a lot of people you get abroad, get overseas, and then you get slapped in the face by reality. And sometimes it's too late for you to turn back or run back to where you're coming from. And in most cases, a lot of people are stuck. And then you get caught up in that, living in the shadow of the system, not being able to progress, not being able to move back, and you're pretty much stuck. So let's go. Let's look at the types of visas very quickly. Student visa, basically, as it says on the tin, that's pretty much about you gaining an an admission letter to a school. It could be a college or university. So in this case, because I live in the UK, so I'm going to use UK as an example. Now, you have an admission with a university here. So when you get your admission offer and stuff, you go through other checklists. I'll probably do that in a separate video about going to the embassy and all that stuff, okay? So you get your hopefully apply to the embassy, and let's assume you get your visa. So one of the requirements for that is you have to pay for your fees, you have to pay for your accommodation and all that stuff. So that's cash driven. and you have to prove to the respective embassy that you're able to fund your education here, and that all lies on the shoulder of your sponsor, whosoever that person is. If you tick the boxes, if you're lucky enough, you get your visa and then you can come, and then you go through the length of your desired education. Right, so then you have work visa. Work visa, usually it could be you come in here, companies sort of invited you here, giving you a job offer, maybe like a civil engineer, a doctor, a nurse, or whatever, okay? And usually what happens with a work visa is when you come, there's usually at some point in the near future, there might be an opportunity through your employer of some sort to be able to then regularize your status and hopefully become a permanent resident, okay? But then again, there's a lot of requirements in that wise if you want to look at what a work visa entails. Now, with visitor and tourist visas, fairly straightforward. You're basically coming here on holiday maybe for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you go back to where you've come from. Point blank simple. It could be sometimes it could just be you've come for like maybe to attend a wedding or to spend time with family and friends, and then you just have to go back. But here is the thing. For people who want to travel abroad, who basically want to escape Nigeria and hoping to go from a new life abroad, most people would jump on the wagon of a visitor's visa with the hope that, oh, when I get abroad, I'll be able to stay with my friend or my cousin or my sister, whatever, and I'll be fine. There is that thing about I'll be all right when I get there. Let me just get in, You pay a travel agent and stuff and whatever, you get a visa. In some cases, you might even be invited and stuff. But like I said, when people get outside the country, and then you get to your destination, you're soon faced with reality. So that's what we're looking at today. Now, one of the fundamental problems that people face in the diaspora, it could be you're living in the UK, you're living in Spain, you're living in Italy, you're living in France, you're living in the US. One of the fundamental problems is what we call lack of papers. And when I say lack of papers, you probably know what I'm saying, is to do with residency, having a resident permit, being able to navigate the system of the country you live in, right? One of the major problems, as I said earlier, is there's a lot of misconception of I'll be fine. Now, what happens is, say for example, you get a 6 months visitor's visa. You've lied to the consular back home. Oh, I'll be back in 2-3 weeks or in a month. I'm just going there for vacation, and then you decide to stay, hoping that when you get here, you settle, you find this and this. Now, unfortunately, most Western countries do not function the way Nigeria functions, okay? And what do I mean? So if you come here now, in order for you to be able to make a life for you here, let's say UK for example, you've got to be able to get a job. In order to get a job, you need papers. You need a sort of visa or resident permit status, status or regulated status that allows you to work. Okay, now in order for you to be able to work, you need a bank account, okay, that money can go into your salary and stuff, and you also have to register with a local doctor, general practitioner known as GP and stuff. If you get poorly, you're ill and stuff, you'll be able to go for your health checkups and all that stuff. In order for you to register, you need to be able to show that you're a permanent resident. Okay, now as you navigate through the system, you might realize that, I need a car. You might need to be able to drive. You would need a driver's license. To be able to get a driver's license, you need a valid passport and a valid, proof of your residency in the country, or sort of permanent status, if you may, right? Now, in order for you to be able to perhaps get loans and credit cards and stuff, all of these things are tied to you having a solid footing in this country. The same thing applies to other parts of the world. Now, what happens is when people come here, now that takes me to the next point. I'm going to come back to those things. Another major problem when people leave abroad is accommodation. So you're coming from Nigeria, for example, your cousin or your friend or your family says, don't worry, you stay with me, don't worry, it's okay. Like they say in Yoruba, no problems. So your hopes have been raised, you're coming on that flight, you're excited, you're delighted. But when you get here, what I found from my personal observation is you're going to live with people. Let's be honest. Believe me, this is no word of lie. I've lived abroad for donkey years, and I will tell you as it is. In most cases, maybe your friend or your family, after you live with people for 1 month, 2 months, trust me, they are already tolerating you. Because 9 out of 10 times, they have to feed you 3 times a day. You're a grown up. And in most cases, to make matters worse, some people, it might be you and your wife, or you and your husband, or your boyfriend, or whatever, your partner. And in most cases, some people even have kids, 1 or 2 kids. So let's say, for example, you, your partner, and a child. That's three of you, right? They have to feed you every single day of the week, right? Think about this. Like I said earlier, a lot of these people, they earn X amount of money. Bills are paid in this country every month. Rent, council tax, car finance. In America, they call it car notes, or mortgages. You're paying for road tax, electric, gas, water rate. Some people have credit card bills, student loans. The list goes on. Now, on top of that, you then come, you migrate here, and they have to feed you. In some cases, they even might have to clothe you, depending on what you brought with yourself. So it starts to put an undue pressure on their finances. And the truth is, after some time, some people can't even cope because it gets really, really stressful. It gets really stressful, and then agitation kicks in, and then it starts to show in the attitude around the house. You're eating in the morning, the afternoon, in the evening and stuff, and then friction, and then some people might just say, hey man, listen, you have to go, we can't do this, and then it becomes a bone of contention, bad blood sets in, and then they might change the lock, and then threats of immigration, blah blah blah, kicks in. It happens and usually ends up on a devastating note for a lot of people. Now, this is why it's very important for you. If somebody says to you, oh yeah, come along, come and stay with us, that's not a problem. I need you to prepare your mind. If somebody accommodates you for up to a year in this country, it could be in the US, that person is God sent. Trust me, not because they are wicked people, but the truth is, most people, it might just be you alone. It might be, I'm staying with my brother and stuff. But they're feeding you, they're clothing you. They can only do so much. Then it gets to a point, even you will start to realize, man, I want to make my own money. I want to start doing this. Then you soon realize, because one of the major problems, like I said, you can't get a job. You need papers. Now, if somebody's living here, I'm a permanent resident, I'm a citizen of this country, whatever. The truth is, it's not always easy to hand any random person your document, your personal document. This is these are very important documents to me. Now, not because I don't want to help a friend or relative, but there's a lot of consequences if things go wrong or if you get found out, which you have to give consideration to breaking immigration rules. Do you want to break immigration rules, get caught, commit a criminal offense, get thrown to prison? In some cases, if you weren't born here, they might end up revoking your own documents and kicking you out of the country or jailing you and stuff. It gets really serious. And again, if you are already working, you have your tax and NI records that shows that you're already working. If you got someone else using your details, which is illegal and stuff, you can get found out. You can get found out and you get into serious trouble. So usually when people say, come over, come stay with us, they don't think it through. Then the reality sets in. So when the reality sets in, okay, we'll see if we can get somebody to help you, yada, yada, yada. So what happens is you can easily be living in someone's house the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months, 1 year, and you're probably having to do some menial jobs like cleaning, doing this, emptying bins, and whatnot, and it's nothing. Because in order for you to break away from someone else's house, you need a consistent job to be able to pay for your accommodation, to be able to pay your own bills, and hopefully have some extras. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is, life abroad And please don't get me wrong. This is not to dissuade you. This is not to say, oh, don't travel abroad. I'm not trying to inflict you with fear. But what I realize is so many people, they have so many misconceptions. People have a wrong perception of abroad life. And then when you get here, and then it's like, whoa, what do I do? I can't get a job. And this, and you know what's funny? You've left families back home. The people back home are counting. They're already asking you, hey man, can we get some money? This and this needs to go to school. Oh, grandpa is ill. This and this is getting married. And you are here. You're stuck. And I'll be honest with you. Another thing is, if you're thinking of migrating and moving abroad, wanting to move abroad for whatever reasons best known to you, please think carefully. Also, how old are you? If you're in your late 30s, you're in your early 40s, if you're in your mid 40s, and you're going somewhere with no feasible plan, right? No guarantees. I'm sorry to break it to you, but if you're not careful, you might be stuck in the system of that country for like the next easily 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. Easily. Still living in the shadow of the system. No papers, nothing, right? No proper documentation, just hustling and doing odd jobs to survive. People do that. Some people live abroad for 10, 15 years or more. Unfortunately, they're still without papers. This is well known in the immigrant communities, across several communities. Believe me, people back home, oh, that dude hasn't come home in 10 years. He hasn't come home not because those people don't want to come home, fact, but they can't come home because they haven't got papers, because they're stuck. And even in some cases, they can't even afford it because you're doing menial jobs, you're just surviving, and it's hard. It's really hard. Because a lot of them, you might have a vision, oh, I'll try to get a better quality education if I settle down and stuff. You cannot navigate through the educational system if you haven't got permanent residency, if you haven't got the papers. You cannot get student loans, you cannot get educated. So as much as you would love to go to that university to train and improve yourself, you can't get in because you haven't got papers. You're an illegal immigrant. So it's really hard. And the whole idea of, you get here and then you might be disappointed because if you expect people to help you, this guy is my mom's junior brother. He said, believe me, bro, ask that guy, ask that sister of yours about their own stories. Ask them how they got here, how they got there. You might even have relatives and friends who are already like British citizens like me. Ask what their stories are. Now, if you rewind to like 10, 15 or more years ago here in the UK, what the immigration system was at the time, it's not what it is today in 2018. It's a lot harder. It's very difficult. What people could get away with in 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you cannot get away with it now. There was a time when you could go to some parts of the UK and maybe you're trying to get an accommodation, a council flat, and all they would do is just give you a piece of paper, put your details and stuff, and then they call you in a couple of weeks and ask you to come and look at a flat and stuff. They don't verify passport and stuff. All of those things are in the past. Some people might have been able to get accommodation that way, bit the system and stuff. And now, if you get caught, the penalties are severe. They can jail you easily. Deport you, get your fingerprints, and if you get deported, what they do is they share your fingerprints with neighboring EU countries, American embassy, Canadian embassy. So what it means is they shut you out of the UK, you're stuck in Africa, you cannot go to any other countries. That's one of the devastating effects of deportation. So, like I say, before you travel, before you embark on the journey, why are you traveling? What plans have you got? Please and please don't let anybody fool you. Be careful about promises. Be careful about my cousin said, she said, they said. If you're lucky, it might be your dad, your mom. They've been abroad before you. Congratulations if you have that benefit. But for the average Joe blogs, right? You're hoping there's a childhood friend. There are actually situations where people get visas. They get here. And that your friend that said, don't worry, I'll pick you up at the airport. Ring me as soon as you land. Will switch off their phones. So you might be stuck in the airport and the immigration guy, you've been sat there 1 hour, 2 hours, and then the ring and dude, what's going on? I'm still waiting and this and they might just put you on the next flight, cancel your visa, boom, back to Nigeria. It happens. And Lastly, I'll chip this in. One of the important reasons why you need to be careful and think and plan very well before going abroad is for like a female. There are so many devastating stories. You might be stuck. Say you're stuck here now. You haven't got any papers. You're not able to get proper job and stuff. You're struggling with accommodation. Because if you haven't got a job, you can't pay for your roof over your head. You can't benefit from the system. You can't get any public funds to at least live off. So you might end up living with people and maybe managing somewhere. And what tends to happen is, unfortunately, it's human nature, which is very cruel. People might take sexual advantage of you. It happens to people because when people see that you're vulnerable, unfortunately, and having said that, there are really nice people that might be able to help you in one way or the other, but for the most part, people will take advantage of you. People will force themselves on you for sexual favors and they still wouldn't help you. Emotional roller coaster. I've seen it happen. Some people come abroad hoping that, if I get in and I manage to get a job and I save money, I'll then be able to help my husband to come with the kids. And unfortunately, it might not pan out. You get here, you're stuck, and then you're hoping that, let me use this man to get my papers, and it doesn't work that way. And they take advantage of you, or you somehow get pregnant, you're stuck, and all sorts of stories. So the point is, be sure why you want to come abroad, what sort of visa, the reasons why you want to come abroad, overseas would determine the type of visa you want to apply for. Accommodation, as I said, is a very, very crucial part. Who you're staying with. And then accommodation also connects to, lack of papers. Because if you can't navigate through the system, believe me, you will be stuck. It could be in this country, it could be in any other country. Trust me, people are lounging, they are suffering. People are suffering. I wish you all the best. I hope, you go abroad and your whatever reasons for leaving Nigeria or your whatever country, I pray that they work out for you, but it's very important that you do your findings, you do your investigations. Don't just take things on face value. And one of the worst things you can ever do to yourself is, when I get there, I'll be fine. Trust me, you're going into a country that's already got a set system in place. So, and another thing is, one of the worst things you can do to yourself is to blindly throw religion, right, at things like this. I'm going to fast and pray. There is nothing like that. It's one of the dumbest decisions that people make. And I see people suffer. I feel sorry for them. I'm only human, but people are stuck. There's so many people. You might see them on social media. They look fresh because of the environment, the climate. Yeah, you look fresh and so, but people are suffering. People are living below the belt. People don't even have enough disposable income. Because if you're using someone's papers, and one of the downsides very quickly, if you're using someone else's documents to work, which is illegal, right? What it means is you'll be reliant on someone else's bank account, and you know what's going to happen? They would take advantage of you, because if you're earning illegally into someone else's bank account, let's say you make £1,500 a month after tax, whatever type of job you're doing, that person can turn around and say, I want £600 of that money every month to myself. He or she knows that you haven't got a choice. They would take advantage of you, and one of the worst things that happen, when people know you haven't got papers, they know you're here illegally. Sadly, it's very common in our community. They tell on themselves, they can grass you up and tell the authority that you haven't got papers, get you deported. It happens, and you live in fear. You're constantly looking over your shoulder. You're scared of the police. You can't do this. You can't go into the banks. You can't do that. And another thing is, if you come here with kids, to be able to get into school and for them to get quality education, it will be a problem, because they need to verify their status. They would need to verify that even you as a parent are, legit to be in the country. It's just fact. And again, it becomes unlawful for you not to be able to put your kids in school. Do you see? This is why you have got to be very, very careful. Think carefully before going abroad. So yeah, that's me done. If you got questions for me, put your questions below. I would do my very best, to answer your questions. And if you want to be a privacy, if you watch this, send me an email to foodchannel1960@gmail.com. Okay, if you want to be a privacy, I will do my very best to answer your questions. All I'm saying is, don't buy into the lies, don't buy into the misconception. Okay, life abroad, things are set, things are done, I would say, properly, according to their rules and regulations. It could be in the UK, it could be in Brussels, it could be in Amsterdam, it could be in Scotland, it could be in the United States. Okay, it's not as some people might go home and lie to you. Don't worry about it, just do this, you do that. It's a lie, believe me. That's me done. Okay, it's your boy Phrankleen. If you like what I'm about, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. And this channel is about, as the name says on the tin, food channel and stuff. But as I say, this is a brand new segment. This is the second episode where we talk about topics that affect our everyday lives. And then until the next video, enjoy the rest of your holidays, and I'll see you in the next one. It's your boy Phrankleen. Peace and love. Bye.